Hi, welcome back to Animator Artist Live. So today I'm going to show you a skill that every character animator needs to be able to pick up objects, interact with objects, swap hands, all with parenting and constraint nodes and with no plugins. So let's get to it. Hey, so this is the file that I've built for today. Just a really simple animation of this girl character picking up a Rubik's Cube and then flicking it to the other hand. So she picks it up, flicks to the other hand. So it's got a few various animated constraints going on, which I'm going to go over today. Now, you could set up any simple scene. It could be a really basic character just picking a ball off the floor, off a table, or picking a gun out of a holster, literally whatever your imagination. But this is what we're going to be doing today. It's an essential skill for every character animator to have, is to be able to pick up and interact with objects without the use of plugins. There are some pretty good plugins around, but if you go to freelance in a studio somewhere, and they don't have it or you can't install, you need to know how to do this raw. Okay, so I'm now just going to revert the file back to back to the beginning to delete all the constraints so that we can go through this right from the beginning, step by step. Okay, so we're back to the raw file, so that I've deleted all the parent constraints and everything. So as you can see, the animation's still there, but there's no interaction or anything. So let's start from the beginning. Let's turn on our controls that we need first of all. So we're going to show NURBS curves, and most characters, well, all characters will come with with the controllers that run either the IK or the FK wrists and hands. These are mine on this particular rig. By the way, if you want to learn how to rig a character like this, there's a whole series, free series on that on the channel. So we're going to start with interacting and explaining how this works. At the moment, she's not interacting with anything. So the way we attach things to our character's controls is using parent constraints. But there's something really important you've got to consider when constraining stuff. Is to do it with a sort of hierarchy, with a system that allows you to move it freely. And let me just explain. So what I've got is I've got my group node of the geometry here. So that is all my Rubik's Cube geometry. Now if we say parented it to the wrist, and this is how you do it, you select the wrist control, then you select the object that you want to constrain to. It's different to parenting. This is parent constraints. And then you make sure you're in your animation menu set, and then go to constrain, and then parent. And let's just open up the options box here. Let's come on the other window and just make sure we're back to fresh settings. And we've got maintain offset on. Now what that does is it keeps it in its spot. It doesn't snap it to where it's going. So let me just show you an example. Let's go back to here and turn maintain offset off, and if I click apply, it snaps to where it's going, which is not what we want at the moment, but we will be making use of this. Okay, so I'm just going to undo that and go back to our frame where we want it to attach, and I'm just going to show you if you attach it straight to it, that it limits you. Okay, so let's just attach it here. So we click apply or add. If you click apply, it will keep the menu open. If you click add, it will close the menu down. So now it's attached. Okay, but what the problem here is that we now cannot move the Rubik's Cube. We cannot add extra animation. If I try and move this away now and sort of rotate it and animate it, it snaps back, and that's a big issue. So that's a sort of basic mistake that you'll make first of all when learning to parent. So let's undo, let's keep going back, undo, and I've undone the parent constraint there. And what we want to do is we want to create a separate group node. We want to group it to itself and use that as a constraint node. And let me show you what I mean. So first of all, let's go to I want it to attach at frame 30. So I'm just going to just going to apply it here. I haven't actually keyframed the parent constraint yet. So what we want to do is, here's my Rubik's Cube model. I am going to now hit Control G to group it to itself, and you can see I've made a group node here. And now let's just name this, and let's call this constraint group. So now we've added this constraint group, we can use this to actually parent to the risk control, which will allow us to give us a hierarchy to be able to further animate this. So let me just show you that. So now we're going to select the risk control and then the constraint group, and we're going to go back up to our animation menu set, constrain, and then open up our parent options and click apply. Now it's parented, but what this allows us now is to select the group underneath and animate and move and rotate and do what we want with it. So that's the key to good parenting, is to always create a constraint group to give you the ability to further animate the object, because if you don't do that, you're going to be, you're going to be stuck. When the fingers fold round, you want to be able to animate the roll of the Rubik's Cube or the ball, the object, whatever you've done. You want to be able to move it, spin it, and that's the best way to do it. So, so let's just undo that. So we've animated our parent constraint, and what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to go, you might be okay with, selecting your group node and animating this, but I prefer to have some visual reference and something to select on the screen in case, we don't have the outliner open or something like that. It's just a bit better. And we're going to use a locator. So what we're going to do here is I'm just going to undo all this, and we're back to, let's just go right back here for a minute. I'm just going to undo all this, and we're back to where we were. So what I want to do is create a locator that we can use to animate instead of having to select the group node, because we don't have anything visual in the viewport. So what you want to do is go up to, first of all, you want to make sure locators is on. So show, and then go down to locators. That must be that must be on, otherwise you won't see them in the viewport. Let me just move this out of the way. Let me just close the attribute editor down. Okay, so now what we want to do is go up to create, and then down to locator, and let's see where it's gone. It's down the bottom here, and as you can see, if I go to wireframe, it's pretty tiny. And there is a way you can actually visually scale this up in the viewport. What you want to do is go to your locator shape. Let's just see if we can see it here. Yeah, so you've got, this isn't the scale, this is the local scale of the shape node of the locator. And you can just scale this up. If you just put in 10, you can see there it's gone much bigger, and I'll go back to a shaded view, and there's our locator. Okay, so it's right here. And you can see the locators that we use on the rig as well. So now what we want to do is we want to put this in exactly the same place as the Rubik's Cube to form a control that we can grab and visually animate. And now we're going to use the parent constraints again, but this time we're going to turn off maintain offset to use it as a trick to snap it into position. So let's just name our locator something like Rubik's control, something like that. And right now let's put it into position. So let's select the Rubik's Cube, then select the control, and then on our parent constraint turn off maintain offset and click apply, and you see it snaps into place. And that is what we want. We want it in exactly the right position, and it's got the same rotation values and everything. You can do two. You can do if you don't do the parent, sometimes you can do a point and an orient together. And then what you want to do now is you can see the parent constraint here that we've used to parent it to into place. Okay, let me just see what that's got. Sorry, I just moved it out of the way there by accident. But what we want to do now is let's just. Oh, sorry, I seem to have just lost my cube there. Let's just quickly apply that again. Sorry, I seem to have undone too far there. What we want to do now is you want to delete this parent constraint because we don't need it anymore. It was just temporarily to put it in position. You don't want it parented at all. You see, it's now loose. Okay, But now what we want to do is parent, not parent constraint, but parent the Rubik's Cube back to the locator, so the locator controls the Rubik's Cube. Now you can either just go up to, and now it's the other way around. So with constraints, you select the constrainee first, but when you parent stuff, you do it the other way around. So now we're parenting the Rubik's Cube to the control, and just press P, and it parents it, and you can see it's gone underneath. Now you can do it another way as well. You can actually just middle mouse and drag it on in the outliner, or you can go up to File, and I think it's down here, or Edit, and Parent. Is it Create Parent in one of these? I'm so used to using P or just middle mouse dragging anyway, but there's 3 different options of how you can parent. A simple parent constraint. And now if we select the Rubik's control here or here, the cube moves with it, which is exactly what we want. So we're using this as a control now, and it's something we can see in the viewport, which is a lot easier than clicking this. So now we're back to here. So now let's create our constraint group node again. So let's group this to itself. So we're selecting now the top node, we're selecting the locator, hit Control G to create a group node, and now we call this constraint group. Now it might seem a bit of a complicated setup, but honestly, when you get used to it, it just takes seconds to do, but it is really important. So now we have our cube, and it's parented to the control, and that is parented under our constraint group node, which the pivot point at the moment is at the bottom. It doesn't really matter. If you want, you can go to Modify Center Pivot, and now it moves everything, and the constraint group is what is going to be parented to the control, to Animate. So that's the basic setup which we've done. I'll just close this out of the way. That's the basic setup. Now we can get on with the next stage of just animating this and going through the process of animating parent constraints to do it. Okay, so let's just go on to the next step now. Okay, so let's add our first parent constraint. So we've got our setup here, and what I want it to happen about here on frame 30. So let's add the first parent constraint to the grid controller. So again, select this, select your select the controller that you want to parent to. Your rig might be different. Select the constraint group, go up to animation menu set, and then constrain, and go to parent. But just check you want the refresh settings, so back to maintain offset on, and click add, and you can see now it's attached. But at the moment it's attached all the time, so we need to keyframe this. So what we're going to do is in your outliner, select your group, your parent constraint node here, and you can see it come up over here, and you've got something called you've got your blend shape target, you've got your weight here. Now in your attribute edit, you'll see it here. In the channel editor, you'll see it here. So this is the weight that controls it. If I turn this down to 0, there's no weighting. If I turn this back up to 1, it's fully weighted. Okay, so this is what we're going to key to animate. So I want it to happen, I think, around here, for sort of frame 30. So I'm going to set this back to 1, and I'm going to keyframe this, key selected, and the weight is set to 1. But I'm going to go 1 frame before, and I'm going to set this to 0. And as you can see, it gets to frame 29. There's nothing. It gets to frame 30. The blend, the parent constraint, the blend parent animates, and she picks it up. It really is as simple as that. So you've got your parent constraint animated, just a keyframe change, and you can see this in your graph editor as well. Let me just dig up the graph editor, which is over here. And you can see if I've got the parent constraint selected. If I go down to the weight, you can see. Let me just zoom in on the curve. There you go. There's the weight. Okay, and we will be using the graph editor as well. So you can see she's picking it up, and she's got it here. So now we need to get her to let it go. So at the moment, it just stops there. So now we need to animate it. breaking apart the you know, back to 0 with the blend parent, so it can go up in the air, and then we can do some secondary animation. So let's have a look. So the Rubik's Cube goes up to about there, and we sort of wonder how to let it go. Let's see, I think here, and then here. Yeah, so let's go back to our parent constraint. We're going to set another key, still at 1, and then on 60, I'm going to get it to 0, and it's going to detach. Now you can see it's jumped here, but let's just scrub the timeline. So she picks it up, she throws it, and it goes back, because as soon as you set it back to 0, it goes back to its original position. So so what you want to do is sort of match the positioning. Now what you can do is you can either just on frame 60, you want to set a keyframe. So let's go back to 59, and what we're going to do is set a keyframe on the position and rotation. So you can hit Shift W and then E, or you can highlight these, right click, and go key selected. Yeah, key selected there, okay? And make sure you've got like auto key set to on. So we've got a keyframe set for when it comes off. Now what you can do is you can either just move this up and sort of you know, match this, which is pretty it's easy to do. You just you do it by eye. If you feel confident doing that, and it is easy to do. So you might just move it over to here, and then you've got it, because from frame 59 to 60 there will be some movement. Okay, now there is another way of doing it. If you want a bit of guidance, we could set a locator to the position to match it up. So let me just undo this a second. So now let's go to frame 59 where she lets go, and what we want to do is let's create another locator and put it in exactly the same spot as a guide. So you've got these different options and ways of working. So let's create a locator. So up to create locator, and it goes in the bottom there again. So let's turn the scale up to 10, and there you go. Then you've got our other locator, and we want to put it in exactly the same position as this locator here. So let's do the same trick we did before. Let's select this locator and then this one, and go up to constraint and then parent. We've already got maintain offset set on, so it should snap into place. Oh, hang on, let me just undo that. Let's just check our settings. We're going to select this locator and then this one, constraint. Oh yeah, we've got maintain offset on, so we want that off so it snaps into place. Click apply, and there it goes. So now you'll see, oh, then we need to, obviously it's still constrained, so what you need to do is go to that frame, delete the constraint node of that new locator, which we're going to call temporary position or something like that, so that now, there you go, you've got this sort of marker in space you can use. And if you feel more comfortable using this, sometimes I just like to eyeball it, something as simple as this, but it is there as a good guide. So now what you can do is you've got this guide here, you can match it up. So now on frame 60, we simply move it up and match it into position. So let's go here, here. Just going to zoom in. Now what you don't want is you don't want exactly the same position, because what we could actually do. So let me just jump back a minute. There you go. It's in a good position. There's not too much of a pop. You know, you can fix that. What you can actually do, if you really want to go to the lengths, you could, let me just show you this actually. So you could actually snap this into the exact same position using the same tricks that we've been doing. So you could, let's see, select this one. So I'm selecting my temporary position and the transform control. I'm on frame 60. I'm going to go up to constraint, and I'm going to go up to parent, and it snaps it into exactly the same position. And then you can go in and delete the parent constraint. but it's not really necessary, and I'll demonstrate why. Because you don't want it in exactly the same position, because there is one frame in between. If you get to frame 59 and frame 60 is exactly the same, you're going to see a slight pause. So you need to imagine that this is carrying on by one frame. So one frame of animation might be up here. It will be moving. So you've got 59, 60. Okay. So whatever you feel comfortable with, work that way. So you might let's see. The Rubik's Cube looks like it needs to be sort of rotated into position anyway. Let's see. So we've got the yellow at the bottom, something like this. So whatever you feel comfortable with, and it will happen so quickly that you won't notice, and we can come back and clean this up. So there we go. So we've got this, I'm showing you all these different techniques that you can use, whatever you feel comfortable with. Picks it up, boom, she lets go, and now we're free to animate. So from frame 60, now let's, let's see, so we're going to go up in the air and boom. She's going to catch it right there, I think. Boom. So let's go, let's up to here, and then boom, catches it around here, I think 80. So let's put it over here into her hand. There we go. And let's sort of put it something like this. And we want, she's going to throw it, so we want it to go up nice and in the air. And we're going to get it to, spin around, and then it comes back down to here. I'm actually going to delete that key because I want the keyframes to carry on. Let's just delete that a minute, because what I'm going to do is, if we open up our graph editor again, Windows, and then animation editors, graph editor, we want the curves, we want the rotation to carry on, so it's nice and smooth. So let me just move that off the screen. So now if we go to frame 80, we can rotate just a little bit more as it comes down from the air. I mean, this isn't an animation lesson, this is purely showing constraints. So let's see, something like that. Let's see how this looks. So she goes up, she throws it up, spins, lands in her hand. So from here, I think you can probably guess now what we're going to do. It lands and it's not attached. So from here, let's say frame 79, we now want to attach it. We've disregarded the parent constraint on this hand. We don't need it anymore, because we're going to now add a second parent constraint and parent constrain it to this control. So let's do this. So we're going to select her left hand now and the new control. I'm just going to hide this the helper sort of locator we had and get that out of the way. So we're going to do it here and here. I'm going to go for, I think frame 70. I'm going to constrain it at frame 80. So let's do, let's go to animation, constrain, parent constrain, just check. We now want maintain offset back on, click apply, and now it's constrained to this hand, okay? But as you can see, it's permanently stuck. So now we go back to frame 79, and we're going to select our other parent constraint. You've got a blend parent here as well. You can animate that. But let's just select on our second constraint, which is this one here. And we're going to animate the weight fully on at 80. Key selected. Go back to 79. And put that back. Put a set a key to 0. Okay, so now we've got this jumping around we need to fix. So let's just see what the problem is there. And can you tell what I've done wrong there? Straight away we can see that I accidentally did the constraint on the control instead of our constraint node. So let's delete this one. So let me check it's the right one. Left, IK arm left. So we're going to delete this one here. And we're going to do it again. Now you can see I did the wrong node. So let's go back to our frame 80. So now what we want to do is we want to select the control and then the constraint group. Okay, so now let's do the parent constraint again. Constraint, parent, check maintain offset is on, and add. Okay, and now we're going to, as you can see, it's constrained. Okay. There you go. So now we need to go to frame 80. Let's and what you can see here is you get both weights. So we've got the you can see in your attribute editor you've got the blend of the left and right arm. So now we want to key it fully here. So let's go key selected. So this is the left hand now we're doing, and we're going back to frame 79, and we're going to key that, set a key at 0. And there we go. Picks it up, she throws, she grabs, and it fixes in the hand. Obviously I've done this really quick, her hands are going through. Like I say, this isn't an animation exercise though, but you know, when it lands here, you know, you might do a little bit of offset animation here, so it goes like this. It moves, it rotates, you get some secondary animation. You know, that's your job as a character animator to look that really cool. Add some weight, but there you go. Let's just hide all this now. Show none, show polygons, and just play this back. She picks it up, she throws in the air and lands in the other one. Boom, boom. There we go. So we've got, from there, I hope this has really helped. We've learned how to set constraint nodes. So don't forget, really important, this hierarchy, set a constraint group. If you don't do that, you are stuck, you cannot animate. And then we learned that it's good to, let me just show locators and show my curves again. It's good to use locators as controllers. You can set up you can use a circular curve, anything you want. And then we learned how to swap the constraint nodes from one hand to the other. You know, you can carry on this as many times as you want. She might throw it to a friend who then you need to parent constraint to, who throws it to another character. This really can go on, and so this group, this constraint group, can have as many constraints as we want. And over here you can see, let's just bring up my graph editor so you can see this in action. So what we've got is, let me just, so it's hard to fit it all on the screen. So let's just, as I scroll across, here is the parent when she picks it up. As you can see, it goes from 0 to 1. It attaches, it stays attached in the graph editor, and at frame 79, I think that is, you can see, let me just move this down. She lets it go. There's no constraints at all on the Rubik's Cube at all at the moment. It lands to the left hand, it picks it up, the parent constraint animates to 1, and it holds it. So you can visualize this now. So you know, you might go into a studio, you might be freelancing at a studio, you need to do some character animation, they don't have any plugins, and this is the best way to do it. It's an essential skill. I hope you've learned a lot. I would love to hear your comments if you enjoyed this. I'm going to be doing more sort of character animation tips and tutorials, also creature ones as well, quadrupeds, when it comes, you know, as we build up this free resource. If you did like it, if you can leave a like and a comment, let me know what you think, and spread the word. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I really appreciate every single watch. You know, this is a complete free resource I'm building here for everybody. So, yep, hope it helped, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks very much.